So in this segment, we're going to be talking about the British government's £15 billion rival to Horizon, and some of the ridiculous comments in this article are just so funny to me. So, oh my goodness, what some of these ministers and other people come up with is wild. So, science in the European Union will suffer more than research in the UK, a minister has told the BBC amid a row over access to the research programme. So you're saying it's going to damage the EU more than us. I mean, why would the EU not allow us into the Horizon programme then? Because surely they would come to a similar conclusion, no? Science Minister George Freeman said he would be rolling out £15 billion of funding after it emerged British science might be excluded from EU schemes. And we'll talk about kind of the difference between this £15 billion and how much the Horizon programme is actually worth. Cambridge University scientist Nicholas Walton said he was concerned about the current situation. The EU said it believed in the mutual benefit of scientific cooperation, but the agreement for us to join the Horizon programme was only in principle. And evidently with us messing around with the protocol, we haven't been given access. Some of these people have actually lost their grants, or they've been told they have to transfer the money over to an EU, essentially an EU university or research institution in order to continue on with their research, or transfer it over to a team that can do the research, which is just crazy. I'll cover that at some point. I've got a lot of projects still on. But point being is that this is already going into action now, that scientists in the UK are losing out on grants because of the British government. Mr Freeman, who's also the MP for Mid Norfolk, said, unfortunately the EU have broken the agreement we have negotiated with them as part of the Trade Continuity Agreement, the TCA. I mean, that's not true because it was an agreement in principle, which means it can be broken, that we would be members of Horizon, Copernicus and Euratom. That I've just butchered those two. The big three European scientific programs. Again, it was an agreement in principle, simply not happened, because again, agreements in principle, they're not formal in the sense of it's not a guarantee. If the EU does not want us to join, then from September I will be rolling out a £15 billion global UK science programme. I mean, okay, great. I'm sure that's going to rival the prestigious grants that the EU grants are worth, right? We spoke about that previously, how these European research grants are, very prestigious in the scientific community, and they can really help boost people's careers. He says, I'd rather remain in Horizon, we all would, but unfortunately it is the EU which has decided they want to punish us. Again, that's not even true, they're not really punishing us, are they? Why would we be allowed in a programme when we're messing around with their single market and breaking our own agreements? He says we have about 200 European Research Council fellowships in the UK, and that's why I'm preparing to launch a UK fellowship programme to replace the ERC, which shouldn't be making scientists pay the price of European policy. I mean, they're paying the price for our policy because of our actions around the protocol. He says we've been the good guys. No, we have not. No, we have not. We are very much the villains of this story. I guess every villain thinks themselves a hero, right? Or something like that, but we are definitely not the heroes here. He says, I'm not prepared to sit back and see our top researchers poached, because essentially these scientists have the option of trying to move to kind of an EU member state or have to give up the grants. He says, I'm confident over the next 2 or 3 years we'll roll out a very powerful programme of science and the EU will suffer, not us. I mean, that's not true, because if you thought the EU would suffer, you would never have wanted to join Horizon in the first place, you joke. Cambridge University astrophysicist Dr. Nicholas Walton won Horizon funding to study the Milky Way, but 3 weeks later he was told he could not lead the project because he was based in the UK. He said the EU grant body told him he had to remove UK partners from the proposal and hand over the leadership of that project to a college based in an EU country. So I think that means that he can go to an EU, dependent on a visa, etc. He'd go to an EU university potentially and transfer the grant over there, and he could continue his research. There's a lot of uncertainty around it, and it's not clear how it's going to play out. Dr. Walton said it's really a question of how bad is it going to be, and I think it's going to be terrible. I can see a lot of our top scientists leaving over this stuff. He said space research at companies such as Airbus and Stevenage, Hertfordshire, could also be hit by any drop in cooperation with the EU in space projects. A spokesperson for Airbus said some projects involving the firm would not be hit by leaving the EU, such as European Space Agency, which is separate from the EU. I guess that's good for the UK, but again, the Horizon stuff is really damaging. Other projects funded by the EU, such as the Galileo project, will not involve UK firms. The UK have tried to make a rival to Galileo, but that's simply struggling, especially when we bought the wrong satellites. A European Commission spokesman said the EU continued to recognise the mutual benefit in cooperation in science, research and innovation, nuclear research and space. Pretty vague and like blasé, boring. But he added there had been serious difficulties in the implementation of the withdrawal agreement and parts of the trade and cooperation agreement. And again, the UK hasn't implemented the Northern Ireland Protocol properly. The trade and cooperation agreement is, kind of a product, not a byproduct, but we would never have gotten the TCA without the Northern Ireland Protocol, without solving the Irish border issue, should I say. The Good Friday Agreement means there can be no hard border in the island of Ireland, and the Northern Ireland Protocol solved that issue. And so if the UK are going to renege on the Northern Ireland Protocol, why should we be allowed to have a trade and cooperation agreement? Why should we be part of the Horizon programme? He said the Commission's objective remains to have a stable and positive relationship with the UK based on our international agreements signed and ratified by both the EU and the UK. So it's clear the EU want a decent relationship with us, but the UK are prepared to burn this to the ground. And I haven't even got to the funniest stuff yet, which is, so the UK's contribution would have to the Horizon programme would have been about £15 billion over 7 years, right? So that constitutes the amount they're paying in. So we're only paying in, this new science programme will only be what our Horizon contribution would have been anyways, right? So this new science programme is worth £15 billion. Sounds like a lot of money over 7 years, right? Do you guys and gals know how much the Horizon programme is worth? Do you want to find out? Let's find out. The Horizon programme is worth 95.5 billion euros. That's a lot more than £15 billion. The Horizon programme is worth a lot more, and this is their budget over several years. I mean, the UK can't compete with the Horizon programme. It can't. The money that the Horizon programme has allocated to it is massive. Is massive. You're talking almost 100 billion euros. Almost 100 billion euros compared to the 15 billion pounds we have. And also the fact that these grants have way more prestige than any kind of new UK grant would have. The scientists have talked about how one of the reasons they want to move is because these grants really help push them in their careers. When they apply to work at university, whether they can say, look, I've got this grant, this fellowship from the EU, right, from these programs. And what are you going to say with the UK one? Oh, I've got this new thing, I've got the new grant, that's only been made the other day because the UK decided to mess around. Like, there's no history for the UK to have such prestigious grants like this, So these scientists won't really bite on it because it's not just about money, it's about prestige, about recognition as well. And with these grants, they could go, with the EU ones, they can go anywhere in the world and they can say, wherever the native country is or whatever country they want to move to, whatever university they want to work at, and say, look, I got a grant from the Horizon programme. I got an ERC. What are they going to say about the British ones? I got a UK research grant. What's that? Who cares about that? Anyways, I'm rambling. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, support the channel on Patreon if you can, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. £15 billion versus 95.5 billion euros.